today to us. I met Pat a couple of years ago. I had the wonderful opportunity to hear her speak and present a program. And I just saw that day, you know, how much that program has value and how I really believe it should be spread all around the world, because I think there's so many kids who face what those children are facing, and any help we can help them is wonderful. And I have to say that it's been wonderful in the last couple of years to have a chance to know Pat better, and I really consider him as a wonderful human being and a good friend. So please help me welcome Pat Mitchell.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this, I don't know why, oh, sorry, I'm a mover. So I don't know why you call this the Sunrise Club. It should really be called the Oh Dark 30. I'm really happy to be here, really honored that Bernadette would invite me to come to speak and you would say, yeah, it's okay. My name is Pat Mitchell. I am the executive director of a nonprofit in San Jose called Silicon Valley Faces. Some of you may have been familiar with the national organization, the NCCJ, the National Conference of Christians and Jews. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that. We used to be part of that organization, but have been a separately incorporated nonprofit since 2005. The mission of our organization is to build a community free of bias, bigotry, and violence. And we're doing that work primarily with youth. We're looking at our young people. We hear stories all the time of bullying, right? Of sexual violence being visited, generally on the girls, but not just on the girls. We hear about discrimination according to you know, your family's country of origin, or your sexual orientation, or, bless you, your socioeconomic background, a whole host of reasons. What our goal is to help our young people develop empathy at a very, very young age, so that we can reduce the amount of violence of that type that we see on our high school campuses in particular. And so that those young people who go through our programs grow up to be really productive employees in the workplace, who can get along with people who are very different from them, and really good parents and spouses as they get older. In serving our mission, we do 3 main programs. So we start with children as young as kindergarten. And in the elementary school, we do a program called Camp Connections, where the school identifies volunteers who we train, and then they go into the classrooms for 1 day a week, 4 weeks in a row. And they're working with these kids, even as young as kindergarten, in helping to build empathy and leadership. And yeah, kindergartners can be taught how to be leaders, right? Just any of you who have children or grandchildren in that age, you know that they can be leaders. And so what we're helping, you know, with children of that age, you're not looking at, you know, discrimination based on gender or sexual orientation or age or ethnicity. With little kids, it's who's wearing glasses and who's not, right? That's how they diss each other. Who's tall, who's short, who's skinny, who's not, right? Who wears glasses, who doesn't. They're all the types of things where little kids sort of alienate one another. And so what we do is we help them get in touch, because I'll bet you every single person in this room remembers at least one time in your life as a young person, whether it was in elementary school, middle, or high school, where you were the one who was excluded. You were the one that people were putting aside, right? And so what we want our young people to do is to remember what that feels like, identify what that feels like, and then to be able to understand that that kid who is eating alone in the cafeteria or playing alone outside, that's what they're experiencing. And to be able to understand that, and that's how the empathy is built. And the leadership around that is, go invite that kid to eat with you. Go invite that kid to play with you and your friends. So that's elementary school. We do another program called Camp Connections, where we are taking kids who are either moving from elementary into middle school or middle school into high school. And they're very significant transition times. You know who you are in the school you come from, right? You have your identity and your sense of place there, but you're going to be moving to a new situation with different kids from other schools who you don't know, and so you're nervous, right? Who are these other kids? Are they going to like me? Who are the upperclassmen? Are they going to like me? What about my teachers? Am I going to get along with them? Will I even, in both of those situations, in middle and high school, will I even be able to find my way to my classes on time? And oh, by the way, can I be academically successful there? And so we take those kids before they start their first day in the new school, and we take them through a week's worth of activities where they're building relationships with those kids, those new kids are going to be in school with, so that by the time they start their first day of school, we've got them connected to positive kids in the school so that they're not easy targets for the negative kids in the school. They also get to know some of the upperclassmen because they volunteer to help with the program. Sometimes the teachers come in and they get to meet the teachers. They get to know the school campus because we do it right on that school's campus. So by the time they start their first day of school, they can really focus on the thing we want them to focus on, which is being academically successful. And the other program that we have is called Camp Everytown. And that program is for high school kids. And we're asking the high schools to identify both the negative and the positive leaders in the school. So the positive leaders are like star athlete, class president. The negative leaders in some of our schools are gang kids. They're still leaders because they have influence over other kids. And that's what we mean by leaders. Who are the influencers among the students? So we want the schools to identify both the positive and the negative influencers. They would never ever want to be together, ever, but they're going to be living together for 3 nights and 4 days in what they think is the middle of nowhere. It's actually Boulder Creek, not all that far away, in the beautiful Redwood, but away from everything, their everyday lives. And over the next 4 days, they're going to be talking about their own personal experiences of race and ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, physical ability and disability, and their own family structures. And I have been doing this work for 7.5 years now, and I can tell you every single time you can physically watch the empathy being built in the room. And so rather than my saying more about this, I want to show you, it's about a 9-minute video that will speak to this experience far better than I can. Thanks, Mike.
They get beat up if they don't have good grades.
Beat up if they don't got good grades. Can't drive. Cheeky eyes. Bad accent.
Being called like fresh off the boat, like it's really insulting because you come here looking for a better life, and then your parents get insulted because they have a different accent, because they can't talk English, as if that makes them less of a person.
thing that really hurts on here is probably thinner because my family is very religious and they don't know that I'm gay. And you guys are the first people that know.
When I walked into this camp, everybody here, they were people who used to bully me, who used to bully others. I didn't want to be around that. So when I saw these people here, I was scared. Just the first few hours, I saw that these people had changed. They weren't the people I knew in elementary school and middle school. They were more open, and that really caught my attention. Now, we're only a day in. This has been the first full day, and I already know some of the friends I'm gonna make here are gonna be the longest friendships I've ever had.
So this activity is called the privilege line. We're all standing together in one line holding hands. And what this represents is the birth line. What I mean is that when we are born, we are more or less all at the same place. If growing up, you ever skipped a meal or went to bed hungry because there was not enough money to buy food, take one step backward. If you feel safe walking alone late at night in your neighborhood, take one step forward. If you were ever the victim of violence related to your race, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation, take one step back. This is a snapshot of your school. Take a look around. Notice who's standing next to you. Notice who's in front of you. Notice who's in back of you.
I never realized how much you can hurt a person by words or by their sexuality, or their gender, their race. And these are moments that I will never forget. And I will take these moments with me, and everything that I'm learning here, I'm going to take that with me to my parents, to my family, to my friends, to my school, to make a difference.
Men, please stand up silently and make eye contact with someone across the room if you were ever told not to cry. Men, please stand up silently and make eye contact with someone across the room if you have ever been hit or emotionally abused by a man. Thank you.
Please stand up silently and make eye contact with someone across the room if you've ever seen an adult male that you looked up to or respected hit or emotionally abuse a woman. Take a look around. Please stand up silently and make eye contact with someone across the room if you've ever said yes to a member of a different gender because you were afraid to say no. Take a look around. Thank you. So, how do you start to change this? You start to change this by starting to become aware. Becoming aware about yourself, becoming aware about the other gender, and becoming aware of what society does. And then, what are you going to do about it? We have to start creating hope, start taking action. Please step to the center if your family has been affected by drug addiction. Take a look around, notice who's standing with you, who's not with you. Show some support, and please walk back. Please step to the center if you have ever considered suicide. Take a look around, notice who's with you, who's not with you. Share some support, Please walk.
Actually feels like I'm open-minded right now. Comfort zone, right here, but now it's like right here. You know what I mean? Like expanded the comfort zone. Like I feel so much comfortable knowing that everybody here, most of the people here have the same problems that I do, which makes me feel better. Because when I was on that bus, I was thinking to myself, am I the only one on this bus that has to deal with this, this, and that? But now knowing everybody, you know, we all deal with the same thing, which, you know, that's a big thing for me.
This camp, it's about being a leader. I need to become a leader, and I want to be a leader and show people that you can change the world.
There's still problems in our society, but now with the things I've learned, I have the power to change them.
This place changes your life forever. This changes you. I never felt so loved in my life. And it makes you see things from a different perspective. Everybody's special out there. You just have different backstories to them. And once you break down those walls and get to know what's in there, then you find something beautiful.
I hope that this camp goes on forever. And we need to spread the word of change, of equality. It starts with us.
There's not much else I have to say because I've said what I've needed to say throughout these 4 days. All there is just to go out there and just actually do it. Actually just put it to action. I know that all of you are powerful beyond words. You're ready to make the change. And the change that happened here, it's real. It's real what happened here. Don't forget it, it's real. Hold on to this. And if it can happen here, it can happen out there. It can happen in your homes, it can happen in Lapidas. It's possible. Because we proved it can happen here. I just want to thank you all. And so let's put one hand in right over here.
All right, here we go. Be the change on me. Be the change on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be the change. Every time. 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 Every time.
So you can see that said way more than I could ever convey, right? A couple of things about what you just saw. Those a couple of kids who were like just one-on-one with the camera. Our videographer provided, he called it the confessional, but this separate room where he set up a camera and any of the kids could go in there and just speak to the camera. He left the room. So that's these kids just like being very real about how they were feeling. The other thing before I open up for questions is that, you know, some people look at this and say, oh, those must be the kids that are struggling, right? The down and out kids. And actually we do this work with Piedmont High School in the Oakland Hills, right? We do this work with all types of schools because all of the kids are going through similar experiences. And that's what they find out, that they're not so different from each other after all. So having said, yeah?
Question for you. In the group where they said, have you ever thought about suicide?
Yep.
A large percentage
Yep.
step forward. Is that indicative of the percentage that would step forward in most of these classes that you put on?
It depends upon the schools that you're bringing together, but sometimes, yes, sometimes it's more than that, and sometimes it's less. Yes?
So I hear so much about this subject, and I'm wondering whether or not, granted, I was oblivious to most things when I was a young kid, but are the incidents of this behavior more today than before, or is it just greater awareness today? Because I don't remember any of this. Of course, again, I would just kind of walk through.
Well, and I think that's part of it, right? I, like you, I walked through my childhood completely unaware of these types of issues because I did not grow up in an area where there was a lot of difference, right? I grew up with people who were pretty much like me, right? So I think part of it is as we become a more mixed society, these issues come up more. And as we think of our young people being more tolerant, you see evidence here that they're not always, right? So these words, that first activity, the words that they were putting up there about different ethnic groups, you know, they're all words they're using. We're dealing with the school right now in East Palo Alto, who's gonna come to camp. They have a student population of 200, and they are 90% Hispanic and 8% African American, and the remainder is mixed. There is terrible segregation and terrible use of racial slurs on that campus, right? Because they don't know the power of the words and how those words hurt.
But other than the racial and the ethnicity, which I can understand,
Yeah.
you would need more instances of this.
Yep.
Since I grew up in Burlingame.
Yeah.
But there were always overweight kids, skinny kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids with glasses.
Exactly.
And I don't remember any instances like that. But are there more instances like that today than there were when I was growing up?
So probably like those things around like the glasses, for instance, that's with the little kids. This is high school. So that kind of thing isn't going up into high school.
Well, I get that.
Yeah.
In other words, what you're saying is that even in an extremely homogeneous school, they're going to, a lot of kids are going to find something.
Yes, exactly.
They have to have somebody to pick on.
Yes.
So it's sort of human nature, but you're trying to bring out the good in these kids that are doing the picking as well as the beat up kids.
Yes, and it's sort of bringing them, sort of restorative justice in a way, bringing them together so they understand what they're doing to each other.
Yeah, you
and
want
you're
them to blow up
right.
a lot faster, huh?
Yeah, and exactly right about homogeneous groups. Kids still find things, right? Girls are terrible, you know, with each other about
like
what they wear.
my school, the kids that were, parents were poor.
Yeah, let me go over here just for a minute. Yeah.
I guess my hope would be that you do this in all schools in whatever region you cover. But your statement leads me to believe that that's not the case. What are the impediments to doing a program like this in a school?
So the impediments to doing a program in the school is, one, our ability to get out. There are like bazillion schools, bazillion, just in Santa Clara County, let alone San Mateo County, and you know, across the Bay and all of that. So part of it is having enough staff to go out there and try to sell this. And the other thing is when we're working with clients, it's their ability to pay. So I'm really happy to be able to tell you that Burlingame High School is coming to camp in February, at the beginning of February. And they're going to be coming with schools who are very different from them, which is a really good thing.
So you mix schools?
Yes, we do, very intentionally, and the kids love being with kids from other schools. And then because the schools are picking very specific kids to come, they're able to go back to their campuses and influence the broad campus, right? So, but Burlingame isn't paying the full cost. So that's why we do a lot of grant writing and obviously, you know, just general fundraising to be able to support those schools that aren't paying the whole.
Oh, so the schools pick the children,
yes.
Right? Okay, now again, the other thing I saw there, you get these individual, different schools together, different kids. For them really to step forward and to admit in front of other people, I mean, that's going to be very challenging for a child, and I look at them as child. I mean, some of them look pretty adult-wise, but for them to get up and to admit that they're a homosexual or something like that, I mean, that's a lot of courage on their part. And then I didn't hear anybody, you know, yelling derogatory comments at them and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if that goes on there or not, but I mean, but that takes a lot of courage upon the individual, you know, and even for someone to break down and cry, especially with males, you know. I mean, how do you get them to that point? I mean, I mean, for an individual, and even the doc over there knows that. I mean, you don't walk into a group of people that you don't know and get up and state something that's going to be out of your heart.
Right.
I mean,
so what happens is every single time we are creating an incredibly safe space for these kids, incredibly safe. And we start by putting, you know, what are the rules for engagement here, right? Number one rule is confidentiality. What happens here stays here, and I can tell you, we've been doing that program since 1996. We have never had one instance of somebody saying that something that they had shared at camp was ever disclosed to anybody else on campus.
Wow.
Ever, ever. And these are high school kids. They're gabbing all the time, right?
Wow.
Never. It's a very, very safe space.
Well,
and
that's
they
incredible.
develop very strong relationships with each other.
Wow.
So I have like 1 minute. Yes?
In follow-up to that, have you been able to track kids a year or 2 years down the
Yes.
line and see how they feel about this sometime later?
Yes, so what we want to do is, we do like a pre-test and a post-test, if you will, while they're there. And the change, how they view themselves when they first get there to how they view themselves in those same areas at the end, drastic difference. Well, that's great, but any of us who've been to any kind of retreat experience or life-changing thing, as soon as you come back, you're back into your everyday life, and maybe that change doesn't stay. But with these kids, we are, in fact, measuring again a year later, and just yesterday, we sent an email out to people who went to camp 5 years ago. Ultimately, what we want to do is go back and reach as many of those now adults in their early to mid-30s who were in the first group to say, you know, that many years later, does this still impact the way you move through the world, and if so, how? Because we really want to know what is the long-term impact.
Wow.
And the feedback you're getting is?
Yeah, I mean, it is. We have people who have chosen their career path, that changed their career path. We had people who only have a career path now because they went back and got serious about school, which positioned them for the rest of their lives,
Wow.
right? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you able to spot any potential drug and substance abuse in there? Because those kids seems like they would be more vulnerable to falling into that.
Well, but remember, these are the high-achieving kids and the challenging kids, right? So it's a mix of both. But yes, and I have to tell you, the high-achieving kids do drugs too. I'm just saying that. So yeah.
You got the money there, buddy.
Yeah, we do. We also have kids who disclose domestic violence in the home or sexual violence perpetrated against them by an adult. So we are mandated reporters. We report that to Child Protective Services.
Ooh.
We're clear with the kids at the beginning about what happens here stays here. We will honor the confidentiality except in 2 areas. If there's harm to you by yourself or someone else, or if you're going to harm someone else. Those we cannot keep confidential. Yeah.
I think I'm the only, could be wrong, but I taught junior high and high school and junior college. And one of the things I discovered, junior high English teachers have a problem. They have the kids keep a log. And it does not matter what your economic status is. There is abuse of parents hitting each other, doing all kinds of things, abusing the kids. And it's at all levels. It isn't just one group.
That's right. Exactly.
Like one last question, because I think that, you know, I think this program is so valuable, and in fact one of the discussions we've had many times is what can we do on an individual basis and as a group as well to help you.
Yeah. I mean, we would love, it's a great question, Bernadette, thank you. We would love to be able to get connected to schools that you're connected to. So if you have contacts with principals, superintendents, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, we would love if you would help us, you know, do a warm introduction for us so that we could go and have a conversation with those adults. Thank you very much. Thank you. Some brochures of, you know, just about our organization that I guess I'll put up here, and my business cards if anybody wants one of those.
Yeah, where were these?
I'm sorry?
Cards?
My business cards.
Where are these?
In here, they'll be on the table.
Thank you very much, Pat. A very good program, very inspiring. Possibly similar to, and not the same, but slightly similar to a camp, a leadership camp that Rotary puts on, but different in its own right. We happen to have a good relationship with the San Mateo Foster City School District Superintendent, so I will pass your information on to her and get you two together. And this sounds like a program that needs to be widespread. A quick announcement by Sylvia.
So, the city of San Mateo, in combination with the Chamber and the Super Bowl Committee in downtown San Mateo, if you look at C4 in this grid, you'll see San Mateo Sunrise. So we did 50 fun things to do in San Mateo, and I was able to get visit our Rotary Club. In case somebody visits.
Oh, great.
So you, and there's a contest with a prize, so you're welcome to participate, but I was glad we could get us on the map.
Great. Okay, so our wrap call.
Yeah, all right. How do you read it? Sure. They hit a score.
Yeah. I'm going to give you an extra ticket.
Oh, that's not fair if I pick my name.
That's okay.
Told me about that car.
Okay, the winning number is, last 4 digits, 6119.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, there.
You're kidding.
So you got the choice of a bottle of wine, which is very good because I had some last night at another event. It is very good, very good. Or Seas Canvas.
I talked to Dennis and
We're dying. All right. All rise for the four-way test. Any other business before we adjourn?
We're having a exec board meeting?
Board meeting after this? Yes. Uh-oh, can't see it.
Well, we shouldn't have.
We don't need to see it, okay, we don't need to see it. Okay, Sebastian, fresh back from Germany, is now gonna lead us in the four-way test.
And all the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth?
Is it fair?
Will it build a friendship?
Fluid.
Is it beneficial?
Very good, Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's right, he did, yeah. I got him a daycare for There's an interview with wine, and I guess he was calling and said that they're going to try her out.
Horrible.
I would be in big trouble if I didn't bring that back.
What did say Yeah, but they had those no
Hello?
Here's mine. Now that's
If you have, I can just press the button. Yes.
Christmas.
So I'm not
Superintendent very well.
Yes, that would be so beautiful.
And then this could
Just like that. But they still get through it. This is the government calling.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand.
Because right now, some of our.
You're 17,000.
That's not fair. The school should do best, because this is also how. Well, so it's because people aren't.
Your legs are right there.
We also have
They were concerned about China's.
I wasn't as concerned driving because I was afraid of something behind me. Because you in the back were like, there's about this much So really, it's just right there. The window is right here. There is no crumble. Yeah, but everybody, I think if I can control over everything, you know, I have more control over the front than the rear end of me. So it was kind of like, okay, I spent more time watching the rear view mirror. That film is fantastic. And then we have the Fiat, so powerful. Those aren't much bigger than those.